Some people think that sharks are psychopaths, but anyone with half a brain has been terrified of sharks ever since Jaws came out. If you're one of the few who's not, prepare to have your mind changed. And if you're one of the many who are, prepare to be proven right. These are 20 scariest shark encounters ever caught on camera. Number 20. Face to face with great white shark. A guy named John Potgeider had a moment in which he believed he was about to meet his maker. He just might be one of the luckiest people on Earth, since he managed to escape this extremely deadly situation with his life and his limbs fully intact. So this guy, along with a few friends, were in the waters off the coast of the western Cape of South Africa, doing a spot of spearfishing, as one does, when he had an encounter that would cause any one of us to experience a sensation akin to dropping one's guts. A great white shark suddenly and silently appears beside the guy, and it's all rather too close for comfort, but the guy, although clearly scared witless, still has to exit the water and not draw the attention of the shark, as it's just made its presence known. The man surfaces rather rapidly, but you feel the fear as he attempts to get back to the boat and locate anyone else who's still in the water. How would you feel in this situation? When it comes down to it, it ends up being nothing much more than a big fish swimming by, but it was still a big fish that could eat you as soon as look at you, so that will make a person feel a certain way. Now it's time for the sweet topic. Here we have a woman named Megan who went swimming, and the last thing that she ever expected to see was a shark suddenly surface and head straight for her. Hungry or angry or both, he was in the mood to eat a human arm that day, but thankfully Megan escaped by the skin of her teeth. Relatively close to the beach, she was able to stumble her way back to land before being hurt, and quite why her boyfriend had chosen to take a photograph instead of helping her out, nobody knows for sure. But we've been reliably informed that they've since broken up. Probably for the best. As always, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below by using the hashtag #SweetTopic. Number 19. Cuba Shark Incident. Next up, we have a bit of footage that appears to have been taken all the way back in 2004. It's essentially a classic movie at this point. The video shows a guy who's apparently in the water at Santa Lucia in Cuba, and according to the uploader, they're down there to feed the sharks before taking tourists to see the underwater scene. I think they were meant to be feeding the sharks with fish, and not with their own body parts, but sometimes stuff doesn't go entirely to plan. The bull shark, not aware of the etiquette that's involved in being fed in this manner, also takes a sample from the diver's arm. It appears to be a sizable chunk, and really does cause rather a lot of red stuff to start gushing everywhere. I don't know about you, but that was the part that worried me the most. I mean, what if the rest of the shark's friends and family smell all of that and figure that the dinner's ready? The diver seems less perturbed about the situation than you would expect though, and simply holds the gaping flesh wound in place as he heads towards the fresh air above. According to his friend, it took a bunch of hospital help to patch him up, but like a madman, he returned to feed the bull sharks once he was all healed. Number 18. Shark in Harbor. Now here's a guy who actually does seem to be having a bad day. Probably worse than yours in all honesty. Or it could have been. Now, you should look before you leap. That's basic stuff. If you're a thrill-seeking, cliff-jumping lunatic, then you're already fairly immune to the regular human's fears about personal safety, or the integrity of your limbs. So perhaps the notion of jumping into water that may or may not contain deadly predators is not all that alarming to you. But perhaps you should still give the area a cursory glance beforehand anyways. Just in case. This guy did not, however, and he very nearly didn't live to regret it either. The footage from his head camera shows his plunge into the water, followed by a sudden and somewhat surprising realization that he's sharing his immediate space with none other than a great white shark. Oh, such fun! I've never known such excitement. Although, to be completely honest with you, it seems as though the footage could well have been faked, because, well, people just love all that internet-y attention after all. Number 17. Shark Attack. It turns out that a lot of divers are absolute nutters. These two were down there at 57 meters apparently, making a noise with a plastic bottle that is alleged to attract sharks. Now, seriously, they were actually there trying to encourage the sharks to come to them. According to their recollections, they had been diving the previous day, and had used the same technique to attract some sharks and had experienced some success. But on this particular day, they thought it would go deeper into the water in an attempt to find a bigger shark. Yes, you heard that correctly. They were actually trying to encourage bigger and badder sharks to come and find them, which is absolutely insane. Apparently it worked. A large and pretty hostile shark appears rapidly out of the darkness and lunges straight at the bottle guy. I'm assuming that they made it out alive, but who really knows? This could be found footage, and perhaps they found it in the belly of a shark. Number 16. Shark attacks spear fisherman. Here we are at Ascension Island with another spear fisherman, where this time we're apparently looking for yellowfin tuna. But I suspect that we're likely to get just a little bit more than we bargained for. The tuna gets speared, and then a couple of surprise visitors arrive for dinner. Two sharks are also extremely interested in the diver's catch. He attempts to get to the surface and salvage the tuna, but the sharks have other ideas. He dispenses with the first attack by punching the shark on the nose. Let's see how that works. But the effect is only temporary, as the tuna on the line is just too tantalizing of a treat for the sharks to let go. A struggle then ensues as the fisherman attempts to hang on to his tuna, and the sharks take turns trying to take possession of it. The whole thing goes on for quite a few moments, and it's a frantic and anxiety-inducing affair as the sharks all thrash about, the tuna gets stabbed in the head, and it's violent and dreadful, but ultimately, the guy gets his fish, and the sharks leave with nothing. Number 15. Shark gets stuck in cage. While this is one way to test out that your shark cage is functioning correctly, although frankly, would you really want to have some sort of guarantee before you were in the water surrounded by predators with bazillions of teeth and murder in their minds? Here we are in the mad world of diving with sharks, and people willingly plunging into shark-infested waters with little more to protect themselves than a few rather flimsy-looking bars, a couple of tires, and some gaps that look large enough to actually allow a shark to swim straight inside the cage. But then again, what do I really know? I'm not mad enough to take this particular plunge. I'm sitting here in my pajamas right now. This footage was captured from inside the shark cage out in the warm waters near Guadalupe back in September of 2006. I don't really know if these crazy shark enthusiasts made it out alive, or if this is, in fact, found footage from the inside of a great white shark's belly. Who could possibly say? Number 14. Kayaker fends off shark. The further we go into this list, the riskier the business of fishing in a kayak is beginning to appear. Here we are, with yet another incident that involves a vulnerable kayak-trapped person and a shark with a sudden and urgent sense of curiosity. Yikes! Mark McCracken, a construction worker with a passion for kayaking adventures, uploaded his close encounter with a persistent hammerhead shark in the waters off the shore of Gaviota State Beach near Santa Barbara, California. He's just paddling along, mostly minding his own business, and that's when he attracts the attention of a hammerhead shark that seems really interested in him and is not about to take no for an answer. That shark initially skulks up behind the boat and swims into it, so the kayaking man tries poking it with his paddle. This seems to only engage the shark further in the pursuit. Each time that McCracken wallops the shark with the paddle, it just comes back and offers an answering bite, or headbutt to the kayak. The standoff continued for what felt to McCracken to be an eternity as he tried to head to the shore as fast as he could. Ultimately, he was completely fine and was able to upload his exciting encounter to the internet within moments of the heart-stopping encounter. So that's a relief. Glad to see there was no long-lasting trauma. I just wonder whether or not a shark holds a grudge. Number 13. Bull shark attack. Here we have a diver who seems to have been out collecting abalones. This is basically just the common name for any kind of smallish to largish gastropod mollusks when they've had a bit of a hairy moment. I wonder if their life flashed before their eyes. As usual, apparently, all the details about this super scary encounter are a bit sketchy. There's a bit of footage doing the rounds that has had all the internet shrieking about how lucky the diver is to still have their full complement of limbs and, well, their life as well. The video appears to show a massive shark doing a number on the diver. It suddenly looms into the picture, seeming to appear out of nowhere, and then dives towards the person at a rapid rate and does not appear to be slowing down for anything. Luckily, the diver has a spear gun in hand and is quick enough to use it to defend themselves against the shark that was definitely on the attack. It gets pretty gory, but it would have been a bloodbath either way, to be honest. Seriously, the footage is going to pop up in your dreams. Number 12. Shark attacks tiny boat. Here are some utterly terrifying images that show just how flimsy a little boat can feel when you're confronted by a massive great white shark. David Tuckfield and his family were fishing from their small vessel off the coast of Western Australia when a very large and very grumpy great white shark took umbrage with their activities and made sure to let them be fully aware of its displeasure. The massive creature circled the boat several times, just as sharks are famous for, and then it literally began to attack the small boat. And you know that has to be pretty utterly horrifying. This was a great white shark that stalked the coastline in the famous 1975 movie Jaws, and it's really one massive and terrifying sea monster. The great white is a purpose-built killing machine with so many adaptations and features designed to make this shark one of the most efficient hunters on the planet. They have 3 rows of viciously sharp teeth, about 300 in total, and it seems that as many as half of all shark attacks on humans in the world may be attributed to great whites, although these sharks may not always be out to kill the humans that they nibble on. I don't know how you can tell if a shark has good intentions, though. Some scientists have suggested that the shark is merely curious and taking a sample taste of a human, but will discard them when it realizes it's not really what they were looking for. Not too comforting for the victim, though. The sheer size and enthusiasm of the bite can mean that many great white snack-sized nibbles are ended up fatal anyway. Number 11. Hammerhead Circle Swimmer. This little bit of drone footage captures a moment that appears slightly sinister as a hammerhead shark can be seen circling a swimmer in the waters off the coast of Florida. The shark circles the swimmer, and the swimmer appears to have absolutely no clue that the shark is even there. Although, of the various species of sharks, the hammerhead is definitely not the scariest, but is certainly very interesting. The truly weird and wonderful shape of the unique hammerhead shark may seem like something straight from the pages of a fantasy novel, but these awesome creatures are adapted to find food in the most efficient and highly specialized way that you could imagine. That's right, their massive old mallet-shaped noggin is actually a big food scanner. The hammerhead shark is not only able to see a broader area on the account of their extremely wide-set eyes, but their actual head is essentially a food detector. Inside that odd-shaped bonce is a whole collection of sensory organs, which is called the ampullae of Lorenzini. This is a set of clever stuff that can detect the electrical fields that are created by prey animals. It's especially well attuned to the frequency of its favorite dinner, being the stingray. In all of the recording of such things, there have only ever been 17 unprovoked attacks by hammerheads on humans, and 0 fatalities. These sharks really are somewhat fixated on hunting and eating stingrays, and they are not in the least bit interested in eating you. No offense.